Whew. Hello and welcome everybody. Come on, let's spin with me. Look at this beautiful winter wonderland. Hope everybody had a nice Christmas and a nice New Year celebration. You guys see this in 2022, but for me it's actually the 25th of December. And what I was thinking, a little bit the plan for 2022 and my YouTube channel. I'm gonna do more stuff that's actually stuff that I explain how I take pictures, why I take certain settings, and I think we start small. I already talked about it in my last video, the exposure triangle, so I'm gonna try to explain this to you guys today a little bit and why you should know about it. For that we're gonna try to find a river. I know there's someone behind here somewhere, so join with me if you want to learn a bit about the exposure triangle. So let's bring it up a little bit. So we're now next to the river. I'm sorry it's gonna be a little bit noisy, but we need a river so I actually can show you what I mean. Exposure triangle and why it's important to know it and know how to control it. There's three things we need to think about when we're coming to a scene. The one is shutter speed, the one is f-stop, and the last one is ISO. I'm gonna go through every single one of them and show you what the difference is. So I have my camera set up by the river and we're gonna start with shutter speed. I'm gonna take some pictures with different shutter speeds and then we're gonna look at them on the screen at home. Then we're coming back out here, then we look what f-stop does, and then we do what ISO does and how these three are important and work together. Now let's go, let's take some pictures with some different shutter speeds and then jump into the office. So shutter speed is important when you, for example, have moving water. Depend on how the shutter speed is. You have like a smooth water, or if it's very fast shutter speed, you have a very crisp water, you see all the details. But not only when it comes to moving water, even when you're out here you see all these trees here. Let's say it's super windy, you have to think about your shutter speed because it should be fast enough so you don't get any shake, you don't get any movement in the trees, you know. But let's take a picture with a little bit longer shutter speed and one with a little bit faster shutter speed for you guys to see the difference. Alright, now we've been out there and we have taken some pictures with different shutter speeds, so let's just jump right into Lightroom and look at them. On the one side you can see there's like more smooth water, not so much detail in the water, so the water had way much more time to run through until the shutter closed again. While on the other side it's more detailed, you can see a lot of detail in there, it's not as smooth, means the water didn't have so much time to run through until the shutter closed again. But not only when it comes to running water you have to think about shutter speed. You also have like the trees up here, like I also said when I was out in the field, you have to think about the wind. Is your subject moving? So you have to think about the shutter speed there, how fast you need it so you don't get movement. Then of course, if you shoot handheld, you can't have a too long a shutter speed before you get some camera shake in there. And yeah, so sit down and think about what's moving, how much wind it is, how do you want to look it, how do you want the picture to look like. So let's go out in the field and do the next thing. So there you have it, shutter speed. You have to think about it when you come to the scene. You need something a little bit faster, you need a little bit slower, what kind of style you're going for. The next thing we're gonna do is we take 2 pictures with different f-stops. The f-stops decides how much of your scene is gonna be in focus. When the number is small, it's gonna be less in focus, while when the number is big, more if your scene is gonna be in focus. Sometimes it's nice if you have like a nice subject to maybe blur a bit the background out so you have more focus on the subject. But for me, who is shooting more landscape pictures, I like to have actually a lot in focus. I usually shoot with a higher number. But let me take 2 different pictures so you guys can see the difference. So I'm just gonna focus on the foreground stone that's covered in snow. I'm gonna also do this for the second picture, just for you guys to see the difference. So I'm gonna start with f-stop where the number is very low. I have like always a 10-second timeout, so it's not just to make the video longer. And now I'm gonna take the same. I'm also gonna focus on the stone, but I'm gonna take a higher f-stop. I don't think we need to wait the same 10 seconds. Let's just go into the studio and see, let's go into my living room and see what the difference makes. So f-stop, like I said, it depends on the f-stop depends on how much of your scene is gonna be in focus. I shot on 24 millimeters, which is it's not super hard to get loads of things in focus there, kinda, so you don't need to go crazy. I mean, it depends on your scene, how wide is your scene, it depends on what kind of lens you use. But generally speaking, here I shot, for example, on 24. I can zoom in here. On this side, my f-stop was on 8. And on this side it was I think 2.8 or something, but this I used a wide lens, kinda. 24 millimeters is not too narrow, so it was a bit easier to get much in focus. But still, here you can see the difference. That side is a little bit softer than this side, and you want the best quality, of course, all the time. And I want to have stuff as sharp as possible, of course. So you have to think about the f-stop. And if you want me to go a bit deep on when it comes to lenses, how your scene looks like, how you kind of should think about the focus there and what f-stop to use, just let me know down below. And let's jump out and do the last thing, and that's ISO. So now you have seen what difference the f-stop does, how much gonna get in focus. But both shutter speed and ISO have also a different thing that's very important. When you have a shutter speed that's very low, that means a lot of light can come into the camera. If you have a fast shutter speed, less light can come into the camera. F-stop, when the number is low, then more light goes into the camera, because that means the lens is wide open. While the number, if it's high, then it's more narrow, less light comes inside. So you have those two things you think about when you go to the scene. What shutter speed do I want? What f-stop do I want to get enough in focus? And then you can try, if your camera collects not enough light, you can use ISO. ISO basically easy explained, just makes your pictures a little bit brighter. But there is a problem with that. If the ISO is low, your image gonna be more clean, while when you have a high ISO it gets more noise, it doesn't look so clean no more. Let me take two pictures, two different ones with low ISO and high ISO, so you can actually see the difference. Now we have ISO on 200, I shoot up Micro Four Thirds, so that's the lowest it can go. There is 10 seconds. The first picture we always wait together, that's just how it is. And now we shoot an ISO, let's just go extreme, let's go ISO 128,000. Actually it's gonna be too high because it overexposes everything. 1 second. Yeah. Let's just look at those two pictures quick and how different the images look, how clean they are and how not clean they are. Let's just zoom right in here. You see on the right side it's way much more cleaner than on the left side. So that's the one with the higher ISO. You can actually see it a bit better up in the trees in the background. When I go up here, see on the one side how all the noise kind of starts to mess with the details, and it just starts to not look great anymore. So ISO you want to keep as low as possible and only raise when it's really necessary. Let's go back out into the field. Just going a little bit away from the river, I hope that helps a bit with the river noise. But now you have seen the difference on how the pictures look when it's a high ISO or when it's a low ISO. How clean it looks or how noisy it looks. So the important thing to understand...
Wait. Stop. Play this one more time. Yeah, that's not really a triangle, but whatever.
Important thing to understand is those three work together. Because what you want is a nice exposed picture. So when you're coming to a scene, just sit down and think about, do I have running water? How much wind is it? Do I need a fast shutter speed? Do I want a slow shutter speed? How much do I want to have in focus? Should it be only one main object be in focus and the rest not in focus, or do I want to have the whole scene in focus? So my tip is to first figure out what shutter speed you have, how much you want to have in focus, and then you can raise the ISO to get a nicer image. But of course, always think first shutter speed, f-stop, and then if you really need, raise the ISO. You can do a little bit of stuff to fix it in post to get a little bit less noise, but if you manage without, it's also great. I'm having a thing for as clean images as possible. Some people like a little bit of noise, they think it's nice in the picture. I mean, it's their preference, that's okay. But I hope this helped you guys a little bit to understand how the exposure triangle works and why it's important to understand it. Because you want to control your scene, you want to be in control of how your shutter speed is, how much is in focus, and it's actually not that hard. Just sit down, test it out a bit, maybe you also have some running water, try out a little bit of stuff, and yeah, I hope this helped. Like I said, this video is coming out on the 2nd of January. This, for you guys, it's today. There I'm packing to go on a trip to Lofoten, actually, together with my buddy Enrico. He has been in several videos already, and his brother. If you want to see some stories and hopefully some stories with Northern Lights, just check me out on Instagram. It's DS-KANAL, and of course I'm gonna bring also the Osmo. and film a little bit. I don't know how much educational stuff gonna be there, but I at least gonna bring you around a little bit like a vlog style. I hope to do a little bit more educational stuff in the future, like I said. If there is something you're wondering about or you just don't understand, comment it down below in the videos. Maybe if you want to have something about focus, or if you want to understand how bracketing works, whatever it is, whatever you wonder about. If you want me to make a video about it, just comment down below so I know what I'm gonna do next. And thanks for watching. I'm gonna run around here a little bit in this beautiful winter landscape. Maybe I hope I find something that's a little bit more just woodland photography, because that's my thing in the last times. I really love it. So thanks for watching and see you next time.